Justice Clarence Thomas is now disclosing private jet trips and a vacation paid for by a Republican megadonor.
Tonight, new financial disclosures from Supreme Court Justices Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito revealing gifts and travel paid for by conservatives.
The last few months, Justices Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito have faced increasing scrutiny over ethics and disclosure issues. Thomas reported several private jet trips and a vacation funded by Republican donor Harlan Crow.
The I word, impeachment.
Impeachment. Impeachment.
Nothing they do surprises me anymore. It's just, it's unpleasant, but that's life. The idea was to get rid of me. And then it was, after I was there, it was to undermine me.
Committee will please come to order. Do you have anything you'd like to say?
Senator, I would like to start by saying unequivocally, uncategorically, that I deny each and every single allegation against me today that suggested in any way that I had conversations of a sexual nature or about pornographic material with Anita Hill, that I ever attempted to date her, that I ever had any personal sexual interest in her, or that I in any way ever harassed her. This is a circus. It's a national disgrace. And from my standpoint, as a black American, as far as I'm concerned, it is a high-tech lynching for uppity blacks who in any way deign to think for themselves, to do for themselves, to have different ideas. And it is a message that unless you kowtow to an old order, this is what will happen to you. You will be lynched, destroyed, caricatured by a committee of the U.S. Senate rather than hung from a tree.
Judge, what is your response to those specific charges again?
Senator, my response is that I categorically, unequivocally deny them.
Thank you.
They did not occur. Senator, I wasn't harmed by the Klan. I wasn't harmed by the Knights of Camellia. I wasn't harmed by the Aryan race. I wasn't harmed by a racist group. I was harmed by this process, which accommodated these attacks on me. I would have preferred an assassin's bullet to this kind of living hell that they have put me and my family through.
You haven't mentioned your grandfather. I would like to have you tell me what you think advice he would give to you if he were advising you today.
When I was getting hammered in the public and getting criticized, and I complained to him, he told me to stand up for what I believe in. That's what he'd tell me today. Not to quit, not to turn tail, not to cry uncle, and not to give up until I'm dead. He had another statement: give out, but don't give up. That's what he'd say to me.
Mr. Chairman, I yield.
I'd like you to describe now, for this gathering, what it's like to be accused of sexual harassment. And let me add the word unjustly accused of sexual harassment.
Today, I received a phone call on Saturday night, last Saturday night, about 7:30. and told that this was going to be in the press, I died. The person you knew, whether you voted for me or against me, died. My view is that that is an injustice.
Judge, you're here, though. Some people have been spreading the rumor that perhaps you're going to withdraw. What's Clarence Thomas going to do?
I'd rather die than withdraw. If they're going to kill me, they're going to kill me.
So you'd still like to serve on the Supreme Court?
I'd rather die than withdraw from the process. Not for the purpose of serving on the Supreme Court, but for the purpose of not being driven out of this process. I will not be scared. I don't like bullies. I've never run from bullies. I never cry uncle, and I'm not going to cry uncle today, whether I want to be on the Supreme Court or not.
We're recessed for 15 minutes.
More than twice as many respondents to a CBS News New York Times poll say they would likely believe Judge Thomas if they were forced to choose.
The question is on the confirmation of the nomination of Clarence Thomas of Georgia to be an Associate Justice of the United States Supreme Court.
Mr. DeConcini. Mr. Kerry of Massachusetts. Mr. McCain.
On this vote, the yeas are 52 and the nays are 48. The nomination of Clarence Thomas of Georgia to be Associate Justice of the United States Supreme Court is hereby confirmed.
There's different sets of rules for different people. If you criticize a black person who's more liberal, you're a racist. Whereas if you can do whatever to me or to now Ben Carson, and that's fine because you're not really black because you're not doing what we expect black people to do. It's a tactic, and when people see it being successful, they don't realize they're going to be the next ones in the Tower of London.
Would the same fuss have been made by the liberal press if it were not Justice Thomas, if it were one of the icons of the liberal left? I can tell you, I know from personal experience, some of them have certainly lived the good life at the expense of wealthy peoples and wealthy corporations.
It's just a matter of time. You allow this to be a precedent in your society. And people might say, oh, it's wonderful, this particular guy's getting tar and feather. Well, there's a lot of tar and there's a lot of feather. And eventually you will be there.